The Texas A&M Aggies and head coach Jimbo Fisher suffered one of the worst disappointments, I'll say, in college football history last year, bringing in the #1 overall recruiting class. Lots of hype surrounded Texas A&M, and they just slept through the alarm clock. They did not wake up, and they failed to make a bowl game. And there's a lot of pressure on Texas A&M coming into 2023, but Jimbo Fisher has made some changes. Will Texas A&M be able to get back towards the top of the ranks in the SEC this year, or will this team continue their misery and disappointment like they did last year? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Prediction season is here. Welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 133 FBS college football teams. That means I'm predicting your favorite team. So why don't you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. And fans of Texas A&M, fans around the world, you can help me support my channel in many different ways. You're doing one right now by watching the video, but you can also like, comment, share. Really anything you do to help support the channel would mean a lot to me. Hey, how do prediction and previews work for college football teams this season? I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you, we're going to go through a roster preview. We're going to look at who the team lost, who they have coming back, and who they have coming in through the transfer portal and recruiting cycle as well. And then we're going to game by game predict Texas A&M's college football schedule. So ladies and gentlemen, a lot of pressure riding on Texas A&M this year. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the roster is going to look like in 2023. Those recruits last year, some of them transferred out, but those that have stayed should really start to make a big impact for this Texas A&M team. As we take a look at the quarterback position first, your leading passer last year was Haynes King, and he is gone. 1,220 yards, only 7 touchdowns, 6 picks, though. Again, part of the misery was not finding consistency at the quarterback position for Texas A&M. You also lose Eli Stowers, no passing yards for him last year, not even a pass thrown. You do, however, return a guy that I think Jimbo has a lot of confidence in Connor Weigman. 896 yards last year through 132 passes, only 55% completion percentage. That can improve, but he threw 8 touchdowns and no picks. You got to love that. Max Johnson comes back as well. He threw for 517 yards, 60% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Starting job to me goes to Connor Weigman. He was probably the best quarterback Texas A&M had last year. Can't imagine what they've worked on in the spring. I think he's going to be much improved, and I think he's going to be the guy to lead this Texas A&M offense. However, again, if he doesn't work out, you still do have Max Johnson back there awaiting in the wings. Running back room, you lose just an absolute machine in Devon A-Chain, who is gone. 1,102 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns for the team last year. You also are going to lose L.J. Johnson, the depth piece at the running back room last year. However, you do return your second leading rusher in Amari Daniels, only 200 yards for him, and then 114 yards for Le'Veon Moss. You're going to get a transfer coming in from Colorado State, 3-star transfer according to 24/7 in David Bailey, and then Ruben Owens is a freshman who is coming in 28th overall rated recruit according to 24/7 in the class of 2023 out of El Campo High School in El Campo, Texas. Should be a nice part to the running back room there as well. Wide receivers, you lose Chris Marshall, a depth piece at the wide receiver room. Also, Yulkeith Brown and Chase Lane are all gone off of this wide receiver room. All of them were kind of depth pieces, so you do return a lot of your top targets from last year. Evan Stewart, Moose Muhammad, Aniyah Smith are all coming back for this team. So Connor Weigman, Max Johnson, whoever starts, he's got some weapons to work with in the wide receiver room and in the tight end room as well, as you return Donovan Green and Max Wright, who were your 4th and 6th leading receivers last year, albeit none of them over 200 yards. Still, Connor Weigman has got some weapons to work with. It's not like talent has been the problem at Texas A&M. There is lots of good talent here. Offensive line couldn't find any notable losses, so here are some notable returners. Bryce Foster, Ruben Fothery, and Layden Robinson. Again, I apologize for any mispronunciations that I say as well. Defensive line, you're going to return McKinley Jackson, Shamar Turner, Walter Nolan, Fadio Diggs, Isaiah Rakes, and Albert Regis as well. This defensive line is loaded. It's stacked. Oh, and you also bring in the 7th rated player according to 24/7 and #1 defensive lineman out of the class of 2023 out of Texas in David Hicks. #1 overall player in the state of Texas as well. This is a loaded defensive line. It's got lots of experience coming back. It's got a great recruit coming in David Hicks that could provide minutes immediately. I think it's going to be a very scary defensive line for the SEC to handle. In the linebacker room, you're going to lose Andre White and Terrion Lee, but you get your third leading tackler in Chris Russell back. Edgarin Cooper also returns, and Martrell Harris will also return for this team as well. In the defensive back grouping, you're going to lose Antonio Johnson, who was your second leading tackler last year, Jalen Jones, and Denver Harris. Denver Harris, part of that elite recruiting class last year, transferred over, I believe, to LSU. You are going to return, however, your leading tackler in Damani Richardson, 73 tackles on the year last year, and Bryce Anderson returns for this team as well as returning Aiden Gilbert and Tyreek Chappell, and you're getting a transfer coming over in Tony Grimes, checking where he is from, over from North Carolina, former 5-star player out of high school and a 4-star rated transfer, according to 24/7. Your coaches for Texas A&M Aggies, your head coach Jimbo Fisher, new offensive coordinator and Bobby Petrino, and your defensive coordinator is DJ Durkin. Moving on to look at the Texas A&M Aggies football schedule for 2023. Hey, if you see a game underlined, it's going to be a home game. A game on the road is in italics or the slanted text. Any game in green is a game I see Texas A&M being able to win easily. A game in yellow is, watch out for that one. That could be a game that they lose, but I still do have them winning. And then red is a loss. So without further ado, let's predict Texas A&M in 2023. We're going to start with the New Mexico Lobos, and I don't have to speak on this one. New Mexico has not been a very good team for so long. They were not very good last year. Texas A&M should have no problem with this tune-up game here against New Mexico State before the big one, right? Going on the road to play a game in Miami and Hard Rock Stadium. Hard Rock Stadium, not a very good home field environment, so I'm kind of treating this as a neutral site game, right? As you kind of have to with Miami. Anyway, usually the better team is going to prevail, and I feel like the better team is Texas A&M. Miami does get Tyler Van Dyke back, and they have some weapons to work with for the Hurricanes. I am not super confident that Miami is going to be a program like Texas A&M. Again, Texas A&M, this is a make-or-break year for them. It's also a make-or-break year for Mario Cristobal. Look, I think this is going to be a very highly competitive game. I think this is going to be a game where the winner can go on to have a great season. This is going to be a nice boost of confidence. And the loser, well, may fall below expectations again. And Miami, I think, is going to come out on the losing end here. I think Texas A&M battles, gets a crucial win on the road in Miami, Florida, and they're going to start off the year 2-0. In fact, 3-0 with this win here against ULM. That should come pretty easily to Texas A&M Aggies. And now you faced a Power 5 opponent. You got a couple easy wins under your belt. You're now jumping into conference play, and it's off to a little bit of an interesting start here, right? You got to start off with the Auburn Tigers, who, in my opinion, are going to be a sleeper team in the SEC this season. Auburn and Hugh Freeze have got a lot of very talented transfers coming in to this program. And I think that Auburn is going to pull off maybe a win or two that they probably shouldn't. I don't think they're going to pull one off this early in the year, though. Auburn going on the road to Kyle Field, playing Texas A&M. It's just a recipe for Texas A&M to be able to win this game, right? Auburn, they don't really know what they have yet. Who knows how Hugh Freeze is going to succeed. Again, Texas A&M is going to fight for every single game this year, and I do have them winning this game here against Auburn to move to 4-0 on the year. And by this point, I could see in no world why Texas A&M would not be ranked. But then you go to the neutral site game against Arkansas in Arlington, and Arkansas very nearly won this game last year. In fact, they were like that close to winning this game last season. And I see Arkansas being able to pull it out this year. So I do have Texas A&M losing the neutral site game. I've spoken before on how I do think Arkansas has a lot of questions coming into this season. However, when I look at this Arkansas team, I feel like they got quite a bit figured out now. I think they know who their top targets are going to be in the wide receiver room. I think KJ Jefferson, if he's healthy, is going to be playing really well. We know what Rocket Sanders is. I think the defense is going to find some things here. And this is a game that I just see Texas A&M dropping. So I do have them losing to Arkansas in Week 5 for their first loss of the season. but I think they're going to take a lot from that loss. They're going to learn some things, and then it's the big one, the game in week 6 at home against Alabama. Alabama is going to be a national title contender. I'm very confident in what Alabama and Nick Saban have going on this season. You know, if you've seen my Alabama prediction video, but you also know where this goes, right? I'll flash my prediction up and I'll explain. Texas A&M will fight. Texas A&M is going to be a team with a lot of motivation and energy coming into this year. Jimbo Fisher is going to be coaching probably for his job. Water break. And Texas A&M, I think, is going to pull off at least one game that they maybe shouldn't win. Now, it may be a game on the road here in the later weeks that I'm going to mention here shortly, but I do think they pull off this win against the Alabama Crimson Tide in upset fashion, and by this point, they might even be in the top 15, who knows, and then you get to the back half of the schedule. They haven't really had a true road test yet, so going on the road against Tennessee, playing Joe Milton and company, Josh Heupel, a really, really good offensive mind. I think this Tennessee offense is going to be able to do not necessarily whatever they want, but I think they're going to run over this Texas A&M team. Again, getting past the defensive line will be the hard part, but once you get into the linebackers, the secondary, that's where the questions about Texas A&M start to come in. But can Connor Weigman make that Tennessee secondary pay? Not super confident in that yet. First true road game there. Again, you do go on the road to play Miami, but not a super good home environment there, at least in recent history. Neyland Stadium will be rocking. Texas A&M loses that game. Then you get your bye week after that one, and you go back home to play South Carolina. I just did a video on South Carolina not too long ago, as they were the team I did before Texas A&M. And South Carolina's got a really, really interesting program. Expectations are high under Shane Beamer, but I just don't see Texas A&M losing at home to South Carolina. So I got the Aggies being able to win that one there. Then you go on the road and play Ole Miss. Ole Miss going to be a very tough team to play this year. Quinshon Judkins versus the Texas A&M defensive line. I think that's going to be a huge factor in this game, and I'm actually going to favor Quinshon Judkins there. Jackson Dart, Spencer Sanders, whoever plays quarterback, going to be really good. I got Ole Miss being able to win that game there. So Texas A&M, after starting 5-1, they've now dropped to 6-3, and you got a pretty tricky game coming up against Mississippi State, albeit you get it at home. Mississippi State, I think, is going to have a solid enough defense this year. Will Rogers is going to be great in the passing attack, but who knows what Mississippi State is able to do under the first-year head coach in Zach Arnett. And Texas A&M at this point, I just don't see losing back-to-back games this year, so I got them winning that game against Mississippi State. An easy win here against Abilene Christian before the game against LSU, and I love what Brian Kelly has this year. I think LSU is an SEC contender. They're a national championship contender if they can get that far. Schedule pretty hard there for LSU. Texas A&M beat them last year. I think LSU gets their revenge. They're the much more talented team. They beat Texas A&M to lead A&M with a record of 8-4. Maybe not what Aggie fans necessarily want, but 8-4 might be enough to save Jimbo Fisher's job, especially if they're able to pull off a win like Alabama, like LSU, like Ole Miss. This team can be a 10-2, maybe even 11-1 team. But right now I got the Aggies sitting at 8-4. Let me know your prediction for Texas A&M in the comment section below. But as always, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder, and I'll see you in the next prediction. Goodbye.